Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You have tuned into the Rebel News live stream on this Tuesday, November the 3rd, 2020. I think there's something significant happening later today. As always, I am joined by my lovely co-host, Sheila, the She-Devil Gunreed. I'm David Menzies. And wow, Sheila, there's a real vibe in the air, isn't there? It's a combination of electricity and tension, and I guess we're all going to get the answers to our question in the hours ahead, but wow. And by the way, I want to say, folks, sorry that we're a little late. As the saying goes, a little better late than never. We had some technical difficulties. But Sheila, we always go overtime, so the folks are going to get the full meal deal, the whole enchilada, as the saying goes, right?
Yeah, I think everybody gets their money's worth with us. David, I'm anxious.
Yes.
I'm not sure if I'm terrified yet, but I'm anxious because a whole lot is riding on this election, and I need Ezra to be more confident. He saw the Trump train in 2016 way before anybody else did. I wasn't even convinced. I wasn't even sure if I liked the guy. I wasn't sure if he's a conservative, and I'm still not all that sure if he's a conservative, but boy, he governs like one, and I think that's really all that matters. Last week, I got the feeling like Ezra wasn't all that confident about Trump, but boy, I don't know. I think things are really swinging in this last week. Just the crowds that are turning out for these rallies and just the incredible enthusiasm, I think, for Trump is really building this week. And I think a lot of people realize just everything that's at stake.
I think you're right, Sheila. And I think if I'm in the Biden war room, what we saw in the last week, these massive crowds, I think they are anything but confident right now. I personally feel we have to go out on a limb and we make a prediction. I think this is going to be a landslide for Trump. I really do. Of course, my two NFL locks of last week didn't come through, and Mr. Producer has an extra $40 in his wallet. But hopefully I'm better at calling U.S. federal elections than football team victories. I think we could see, Trump maybe getting 320 electoral votes. What do you think about that?
I can't make a prediction. I see the crowds, but I also think that, as Ezra put it, this thing is really within the margin of fraud. That's what I think.
Oh, and well, yes, I do want to preface something, Sheila. That's a good point. My comments are, if this is going by the rules, if this is a fair game, so to speak, I'm very worried about potential fraud. I'm worried about these mail-in ballots. We've seen some horrific stories about that, and it's a disgrace. But I think if this is, if we're going to, count the ballots, this, I think, Sheila, is the most important election since 1864. And there are uncanny parallels to it. Incredibly, Abraham Lincoln in 1864 was depressed. He was desperate. There were many parallels of 2020. The media was against him, using names like imbecile and buffoon. Members of his own Republican Party were against him. The war was going very bad for the North. There was a battle in that election year. One battle, 7,000 Union troops slaughtered. And basically, it looked like his opponent, which was a general that he fired, who was running for the Democrats, it looked like defeat was imminent for Lincoln. And of course, everything turned around before the election when he went to his top generals, Ulysses S. Grant, General Sherman, and he said, I need a big a big victory on the battlefield. And that, of course, was the Battle of Atlanta, where, the city was essentially burned to the ground. Then everything flipped on that. And that's the vibe I'm getting, because and if that election had not been won by Lincoln, Sheila, there was serious talk about the U.S. splitting in half, that the Confederacy would be its own country. I mean, just think of how different history would have been. And I think this is the decision Americans have to make, is that, are we buying into socialism? because this is not, to steal the old GM ad slogan for Oldsmobile, this is not your father's Democrat Party. This is a socialist party, almost a communist party when you look at all their positions, which basically, they've got like a 110-page manifesto, I believe, that was written by Bernie Sanders people. Are you going to go that way? Are you going to not have a choice in your health care? Are you going to say goodbye to energy independence? Are you going to... There are so many things at stake. And if I know Americans like I think I know Americans, Sheila, I think they're going to reject socialism. I think even the ones that might be, they're not so vested in Trump and they're willing to give the other guy a chance. I think the gut moment is when you're in the ballot booth and you think this is going to decide, the future of our country in terms of what ideology we're going to embrace. And I think there's going to be that come to Jesus moment, if you will, where so many Americans come out in droves and they do vote for Trump. And you know what? There's even whispers, Sheila, of some states flipping that you wouldn't expect. A sleeper is Minnesota, which has been going in the last 15 years more and more right, never enough critical mass. But that might be one of the surprises we see tonight. Who knows? But I share your anxiety, but I really believe in my heart of hearts for the good of the country. And I'll even say this, Sheila, for the good of the Democrat Party, because hopefully if they get the doors blown off, they will learn that going hard left was not a good strategy. It was a fool's errand, and maybe they'll come back to center again. So that too is good for the country in the electoral years ahead. What do you think, my friend?
Yeah, I think that sort of massive loss to Obama helped the Republican Party become something different, something stronger. But here in Canada, we didn't see a similar outcome when we saw the NDP just get absolutely smoked at the federal level. They decided to continue to move left and left and left, doing more of the same crazy things. I'm anxious as an Albertan for the thousands of Alberta families who are depending on Keystone XL. The Democrats win, that's dead in the water. Oh, the Liberals say, we're going to continue to pursue it. No, you won't. You never did when Obama was in power. Why would you do it when Biden is in power? That's one of the things that really makes me anxious, because there are entire Alberta communities that are relying on that pipeline as a lifeline for survival. So, there's I know there's a lot hinging on this for Americans, but even just as an Albertan, there's so much hinging on this election for us today. And one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in an election campaign of any kind anywhere was when Trump brought a frack pad to his rally in Pennsylvania. That was absolutely gorgeous. And it really sent a message that this is a campaign about jobs. It's about economic recovery. And I think that spoke to middle class women, because at the end of the day, do they have to like Trump? No. Do they have to like his personality? I kind of like it, but do they? Not really. But they will vote for their husband's jobs at the end of the day. And hopefully we see some of that happening in Pennsylvania. Hopefully we see enough of that.
Yeah, as they say, Sheila, it's all about the economy. And pre-COVID, what did we see in the U.S.? We saw the stock market at record highs. We saw unemployment at record lows, including when you dig into the demographics. Black unemployment, Hispanic unemployment, Asian unemployment, female unemployment, historic lows, energy independence. A president who I think, Sheila, has been remarkably restrained in terms of bringing America into any wars. There hasn't been anything of significance. The foreign policy achievements, as we've seen in the Middle East, which has not nearly gotten the publicity it deserves, Sheila, incredible steps forward with Israel and the Arab world. I don't understand the hate on for this president, Sheila. I really don't. Maybe he said before he got into politics some risque things, but so what? I mean, do you want a strong leader, or do you want an incompetent Boy Scout? I think that's what it boils down to. And I'm telling you, Sheila, with Joe Biden, I was watching the Wisconsin Trump rally last night, and Trump wrapped it up with it was a blooper reel of Bidenisms, stumbling over words, forgetting what he was talking about, forgetting who his wife and who his sister was. And,
Yeah.
I shouldn't be laughing because I think there was a cognitive failure that is going on with Joe Biden. We shouldn't really mock that. But you have to ask yourself, is that the kind of leader you want in the White House? And I'm so glad you brought up fracking, Sheila, because here's the credibility issue. Biden and Kamala Harris, who is, I would argue, based on her voting record, is even left of Bernie Sanders, right?
Sure.
They have always said, hate fracking, no fracking, no fracking, no fracking. And then they visit Pennsylvania. Hey, what's wrong? Isn't fracking great? Forget it. No, you can't for years say you're against fracking. And then when you make a campaign stop in one of the states that has enriched itself through fracking, say you're on side. Because if I'm a Pennsylvanian, Sheila, how do I know you're not going to have another flip on this issue once you get into the White House? And he will. They are committed to that AOC Green New Deal, that $93 trillion boondoggle, which couldn't, of course, come at the worst time than now because of what we're going through with the Wuhan virus. So for all those reasons, I think Donald Trump is going to carry the day.
Oh, I hope you're right. And everybody at home, maybe super chat us your predictions for the electoral outcome tonight. And speaking of super chats, we're 15 minutes into the show and we haven't even told anybody what we're doing here. We're just lamenting the future of the world. This is the daily live stream during the pandemic. We took our once weekly live stream on Friday and expanded it to 5 weekdays because we think there's more news than ever, even though the mainstream media is getting more money, more of your money than ever to do less work than ever, particularly the CBC. They, get $1.5 billion and they canceled their 6 o'clock local news. Now, most of you may not have noticed because literally nobody watches, and I'm not exaggerating. It's fewer than 330,000 people were ever watching in, a country of over 35 million. Anyhow, what we're doing here is an hour of talking about the news of the day. It's great because David and I get to interact with each other. We're not just colleagues, but we're also friends. We also have quite a little community growing in the live chat on the side of the screen. There's a lot of regulars in there talking to each other. And it gives our folks at home an opportunity to do a couple of things that they don't let you do in the mainstream media. First of all, leave a comment. All the comment sections are closed on the mainstream media, or they are heavily moderated so that if you say remember that time Wendy Mesley said the N-word? Delete and blockaroo. You won't leave another comment on the CBC. But it also gives you another chance to do something else, and that's support the work that we do here at Rebel News of your own free will, because you already are forced to support the mainstream media through Justin Trudeau's bailout and CBC's subsidy. If you'd like to help us out, you can do something called a super chat. There's a $sign at the bottom of the live chat. Just click on that. You can throw some money in there. The more money you give, the more characters you get. It'll highlight your comment. It'll pin it to the top of the screen. So everybody can see it now, but also everybody rewatching the stream later will see it then too. And leave us a comment, a question. Maybe there's a topic you want to put on our radar, a story idea, a tip, an insult, a compliment. I prefer one of those more than the other. However, I'm not opposed to feedback. And David and I will do our best to address whatever it is on air.
And Sheila, I like what you said right off the top. If you're super chatting about anything, include your prediction, either
Please.
Trump or Biden, and the number of electoral seats you think that either candidate will win. We should keep note of the predictions, Sheila, and then when the dust settles on Thursday, well, of course, the results, unless it is a landslide, could go on for days and days and days. But we'll give a shout out at the very least. Is there any kind of way we can send a prize or something to the best guesser? Or maybe we can take a page from Marvel Comics back in the day. I used to go crazy about this as a kid, because they would offer for the best letter a no prize, right? And and of course, as a child, I didn't get the gag, because I'm thinking, what's a no prize? What does a no prize look like? But it was like Stan Lee's version of saying, your prize is a no prize. You're not getting a prize, but you're at least getting recognized that if we had prizes to give, we'd give you one. So how about that? A big no prize, a Rebel News no prize to the viewer that comes closest on his or her prediction.
You get all the glory of being recognized as someone who got it right. And we're not the CBC, so we just can't be giving stuff away all the time.
That's right.
We do already have quite a few super chats piling up.
Okay.
Maybe we can get to those. I'm also going to ask our viewers to do something to help us that doesn't actually cost you a dime. There are roughly 1,250 of you. I'm sure we'll approach 1,300 soon. If you could just move over and click the little thumbs up button underneath David and I on the screen. What that does is it drives us higher up in the YouTube algorithm. We know how YouTube treats conservatives. They shadow ban us. They smother us. They prevent our videos from being found sometimes. So if you wouldn't mind moving over there, giving it a little thumbs up, just click on that, and it puts us higher in the YouTube algorithm. It'll help other people find us. I appreciate that very much.
Is there a thumbs down icon too, Sheila?
Don't give these people any ideas.
Don't
but yes,
press
there
that.
is.
Be very careful. Oh, and by the way, folks, before we get into any super chats, Mr. Producer adroitly noted that we must run the warning. It's not something we're keen on doing, but we have to do it so we don't get deplatformed. So, Mr. Producer, please. Yeah, it's kind of like the grade school teacher just briefing the class that profanity won't be tolerated, except in this case, it's contrarian opinions to the big tech giants, right, Sheila?
Isn't that the truth? I mean, we're not going to censor ourselves, but we will, I guess, play along with their little game for the sake of staying on YouTube so that we can bring people the other side of the story, because, boy, they'd love for us to lose our platform, wouldn't they?
Oh, yeah.
Let's get to some of these super chats, and then maybe we can get to, or maybe we should start with Kian's video after we cruise through some of these super chats.
Good idea.
Is that what we had first? Okay. So Viking Insane gives us $5. Google the meaning of the name Donald. It's written in the stars for Trump. It means ruler, I think. Am I right?
Oh.
Viking Insane? I think it does. Donald, meaning of the name.
Like a dog.
World ruler, world yielder. So, yeah, I guess that's interesting. I didn't know that. Jack Krauser gives us $6.99. I can't imagine Biden getting more than 40 million votes without fraud. I don't know. I mean, you weren't convinced by Lady Gaga's horrible video. Attacking camel wearing, beer drinking, truck driving conservative women is pretty specific. But it felt like she was just talking down, like she'd never met a normal person ever. Maybe Justin can find that, but it was so, I don't like her. I don't like her music. It's just not my thing. I'm sure there's a lot. I mean, she sells a lot of records, so people buy records, sells a lot of music. Anyway, so obviously, I mean, there are people there that do. She's not my cup of tea. But I just thought, like, I felt empathetically embarrassed for her having done that. I felt like it was like I was cringing on her behalf, and I don't think she thought it was a bad idea.
And it'd be good if we can run a snippet of that at least, Sheila, because this is clearly Lady Gaga, this multimillionaire celebrity elitist, mocking basically Trump's base.
Mocking women like me, mocking women just like me. Like, when I saw that, I'm like, okay, I think those are supposed to be dirt bike boots. I have those. I wear camo, I drink beer, I drive a pickup. I vote conservative. And I thought, how do you think this is helpful? Who do you think you're swaying here? Pennsylvanians? Definitely not.
So without further ado, folks, here is how Lady Gaga looks upon real women like Sheila Gunn Reid.
Hey, this is Lady Gaga. I'm voting for America, which means I'm voting for Joe Biden. And if you live in Minnesota, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, Florida, or Arizona, I encourage you to vote. And if you have a friend that lives there, tell them to vote. I'm going to be in one of these states tomorrow. Guess which one I'll be in? Hint, I used to live there. Cheers to the 2020 election.
You know what's
What a beer waster.
Oh.
What a beer waster.
Yeah,
Terrible.
And what about the environmental stewardship when she litters with that can? And, you know, the thing is, Sheila, what I find so perverse about that whole pantomime is the fact that she's wearing camouflage hunting gear. If that's the demographic she's reaching out to, the Democrat Party, what they're going to do to the Second Amendment, they're going to take away your guns. They're going to declare war on the Second Amendment. Nobody going hunting should think that Biden and Kamala Harris are in their corner. But you know what? That's their, the celebrity culture's deplorables, basket of deplorables moment, much like Biden the other day calling Trump supporters a bunch of chumps. You know, it's amazing. They don't seem to learn, Sheila. You never see Trump, do you? I mean, going after the supporters of the Democrat Party. I mean, he'll go after Harris and Biden, of course, but he doesn't go after their supporters. He's a little smarter than these three stooges I just listed, isn't he, when it comes to garnering support?
Yeah, that's a really great point. Trump doesn't generally go after Democrat voters unless he's trying to sway them. But the Democrats tend to mock Republican voters. I mean, that's a deplorable moment there.
Yeah.
Does she think that flyover country is just a costume you can put on when you forget to take off your $1,200 sunglasses, Lady Gaga? I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Are those really $1,200 sunglasses?
I bet you they're more. I bet you they're more because they're really ugly, which means generally in Hollywood speak, they're more expensive. We should get to some of these super chats, though. SA gives us $13.99. Twitter is full of photos proving voter fraud, voter suppression attempts. Yeah, I've seen some of those already. There should be law enforcement present to make sure people are allowed to vote. I've seen some of that already, people taking pictures in Pennsylvania, what looks like voter suppression outside the polling places. So, I mean, who knows? But the thing is, I think Republicans already knew that Democrats would behave this way. So that's why it's just so important to get the vote out, because you do have to get over the fraud. Also, you just know they're going to. You should just factor that into your get out the vote efforts in a day. And you have to work around that because it's just how the game is played.
That is my dream, Sheila, that there is such a turnout by the Republican base. It is such a landslide that even the cheating factor of whatever percentage you put on it is irrelevant. It's a landslide. It's over. That is what I'm clinging to for my dream tonight.
And Crazy gives us $5. The best is yet to come, Trump 2020. That's almost a Ralph Klein quote. Ralph Klein said, "This is a province rich in blessings and hope. The best is yet to come." And I always I would write that into my book, The Destroyers, when people ask me to sign it, just reminding people, you know what, this is a very short-term thing. We'll get rid of them and things will get better, even though it'll be hard. So if Trump loses tonight, let's also keep that in mind. Dur5 gives us $10, was listening to a Yank commentator named Dinesh D'Souza. I love Dinesh D'Souza, on the history of the U.S. Democrat Party. Interesting guy, apparently the only party or the party has quite the history from the time of slavery to now. Yeah, he has a great video. I think this might be the one that you're referring to, where he talks about when the switch happened, when the switch from Black and minority voters moving from the Republican Party to the Democrat Party. And I think that's the same video where he breaks down how Democrat parties created a culture of dependency that took apart Black and minority families, which created this underclass of Democrat voters. And Dinesh, he's got so many books and so many movies out that I feel like I'm not doing enough with my life. The one that I really liked was Hillary's America from 2016. It came out in the lead up to the last presidential election, and it basically laid out what would happen to the United States of America had Hillary won. And I cannot recommend that enough, because I feel like a lot of it would apply to right now if the Democrats win in 2020. Sativa and Me, $5. Fear, false evidence appearing real. I'm not scared. I'm apprehensive. And I think you never want to be too confident. Georgie or Yorgie. I know Ezra says it that way. $5. I think Trump will win the Electoral College and Biden will take the popular vote. So I guess the same as in 2016. I'm concerned about the U.S. media, though. All media, even TMZ. That's going to be the one sad thing about being on the air tonight. Not that I would ever be sad about being on the air with Ezra and all my Rebel colleagues and all of our viewers at home when we're hosting the live stream tonight of watching the election results come in. But should Trump win, I'm going to be sad that I'll have to watch the crushed, disappointed reactions of MSNBC, CBC, and the rest of the mainstream media tomorrow morning, because some of those were really great.
Oh, that's going to be big time Schadenfreude, if I'm correct.
They don't handle these things well. There's not a lot of dignity. There's not a lot of like, okay, we got to get out there and we just got to work harder. We got to change hearts and minds. It's none of that. It's just tears and calling Trump Hitler and talking down to people who voted Republican. And I'm anticipating seeing some of that tonight should Trump win, but unfortunately, I have to wait till tomorrow morning.
And Sheila, if I may, on the weekend, I was listening to, of all things, the Howard Stern show, and I sort of had an epiphany about the media. This would be at least the media in the U.S., and it was a goof item. They were going around the table asking members of the Whack Pack. If you don't know the Howard Stern show, the Whack Packers, well, they're people that, well, they're kind of off, so people like Bigfoot and Wendy the Slow Adult. And they got to a guy called Mark the Bagger. And they said, who are you voting for? And he said, well, definitely not Trump. Why is that, Mark? Well, they say he's bad. They say he's really rotten. They say he's going on. That's that's when, the dime dropped for me, Sheila, that who is the they? He's getting his, anti-Trumpisms from the mainstream media in the U.S. And he's not, he keeps referring to this they. And the two things, one is, even though Mark the Bagger is slightly off and is clearly not making an informed decision based on any kind of valid research, his vote is as valid as any other American's vote. And the perverse irony of all, Sheila, was when Howard asked, well, who are you voting for? And he said, the other guy. He didn't know Biden's name. And then and once he was told Joe Biden, yeah, that's the one, he kept referring to him as Biden's, plural. Anyways, that is part of the caliber of somebody going to the polling booth today on election day. And but like I said, Sheila, it was an epiphany, because here is that demographic that is taking their advice from the main, Ezra calls it the media party. It's beyond a party now, Sheila. It's the media mob. These are mobsters forcing you to think a certain way. And those are the they. And I just found this so disheartening. And hopefully these are the same sort of people that when it is time to go and vote, they simply don't, because, I don't know, the wind is a little brisky today or what have you. Whereas I think the Republican base is very energetic. If it was a Category 5 hurricane, they're going to the polling stations, or they should be today.
Yeah, these are the same people, though, who say those Republicans are so stupid. Why would you vote for Trump? And they don't even know the name of their guy. All they know is that they said. Nobody actually goes to the source. For example, like when they say, like, Trump never denounced white supremacy. Oh, countless times. But MSNBC told you that he didn't, and CNN told you that he didn't. But why don't you go and see if Trump actually did it for yourself? This is 2020. Everything is video. Everything that you say and do is on video, particularly if you're a politician.
Yep.
Why don't you go look for yourself? Why do you need somebody else to filter the information to you? That's why we publish all of our source documents here at Rebel News, is because you don't have to take my word for it. Sure, I'm going to tell you and I'll give you my opinion too, but you don't have to believe me. Please take a look for yourself. There's a whole class of people out there who don't go to the source. They're just happy to sit in front of, as my mom calls it, the idiot box and be told exactly what to think. Okie doke. Let's keep going. Lisa Proust gives us $2. David and Sheila, love your work and can't wait for tonight. I can't wait for tonight because I kind of want this all to be over one way or another, but I can wait for tonight because I'm just full of apprehension and nerve. Chris Lynch gives us $10. Trump 2020, landslide victory for Trump is my predictions. Also, Alberta independence 2023. Why do we got to wait so long? Did y'all see the NDP's motion to try to get the UCP to condemn, I think is the word you mean, condemn and disavow separatism in Alberta? Yes, I did. So the NDP brought forward a motion to try to have the legislature condemn separatism because they think that there's like these evil separatists infesting the UCP party. Don't threaten me with a good time. I hope it's full of separatists. But the idea that the government should be condemning separatism is absolutely ridiculous, because if this becomes a referendum question, the government shouldn't be condemning it. It should be giving us an opportunity to ask the question and present our answers in a democratic way, because that's what we do around here. But the NDP want to shut it down, and they think that conservatives would somehow be offended by the idea that there are separatists in the UCP. I hope they're all separatists. I know they're not. It's largely a federalist party, but the idea that there might be some lurking in there, that brings me great hope, actually.
But Sheila, isn't that the question? First of all, will this ever be a referendum question for the province of Alberta, much as it was twice for Quebec? And really, how do you think such a referendum would carry?
Depends on the runway that sort of question gets and how organized the yes and no sides end up being. I know that I've seen some polls that say over 50% of Albertans express some form of separatist sentiment, which just shows you how out of step the NDP are with normal Albertans. I mean, have you met a normal person, or are you just in like a Lady Gaga kind of bubble? But this is a question for the people, and to try to shut down that motion, you're trying to shut down the people's voices. Yeah. Jason Kenney has promised to bring in the ability for these citizen-initiated referendum questions. Then the pandemic came, and those sorts of issues sort of got set to the side. But it is a question for the people. It's not a question for our politicians. It's for us to determine our future. I know that probably we will see a lot of Conservative Party of Canada organizing on the no, you're not leaving side, because they never win again without us. Indeed. But never underestimate a motivated batch of Albertans, because there's a lot we can overcome. We overcame a lot to build this province in one of the most harshest climates on the face of the earth. We've turned ourselves into an economic engine. We got oil out of the ground. Nobody said we ever could. We've turned this place into the breadbasket of the nation. We can do a lot if we put our minds to it. So, I mean, if they want to oppose us trying to leave, bring it.
I agree, Sheila. And I lived 2 years in Alberta, and I love Alberta, and I love Albertans.
Thank you. There's a lot to love. Okay, let's keep going. Antonio Cardenas, I think I said that right. $5. This old chunk of coal just voted for Trump today in Michigan. You're just an old chunk of coal, but you're going to be a diamond someday. I think that's an old John Anderson song. Maybe, Antonio, super chat us back. I'm curious to see what the tone is like in Michigan right now. Michigan's such a blue collar place, and I feel like Trump is a blue collar billionaire, but you got a lot of Democrats there. I mean, Detroit is just a Democrat failed state. So I'm curious about what you think the attitude is in Michigan right now.
Oh, Sheila, if you work with your hands, you know, and if you think the Democrats are your allies, you are sadly mistaken. They're beholden to Wall Street. They're beholden to the Silicon Valley tech giants. They will get rid of fracking, so there's those energy jobs. Remember when Biden was vice president with Obama for 8 years? Remember them saying, hey, these manufacturing jobs, they're gone and they're never coming back. You know, they got China into the World Trade Organization, and they basically signed the death sentence for the Steel Belt states. But guess what's happened under Trump? Those jobs are coming back. It is possible. He reorganized the NAFTA deal. So, you know, like I said, this is not the blue collar party that maybe your previous generations of Democrat supporters voted for. This is all about eliminating those kind of blue collar jobs. And for Antonio and for our American viewers, I would reach out and say, it's great that you're getting out there and voting Trump, but maybe there's even more you can do, even at this late stage, and that is to work the phones, get your family members, your colleagues, your co-workers, try to convince them to get out. This is the way a landslide is manufactured, and hopefully that's what we're going to see tonight, Sheila.
Yeah, I saw yesterday, I think, on Fox News, the head of the AFL-CIO, that's the major union in the United States, Richard Trumpka, he was out there saying that, we don't support Trump. We tried to work with him during the middle of his presidency, but it just didn't work out. And I thought, you know what? What are you making? $1-2 million a year as the head of the AFL-CIO? What about the dirty hands, clean money guys that you represent? Maybe you should start caring about what your membership wants and not what the leadership wants. I remember during the week before the 2016 election, I started paying very close attention to what the coal miners unions were doing. And their union leadership, some of them were supporting the Democrats. The guys in the mines and the shop stewards, they were holding prayer circles for Trump.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what, that's the perfect disconnect everywhere, universally, throughout the labor unions, throughout the labor movement, where the guys at the top cling to their leftist politics while the boots on the ground, they know who really is going to help them get back to work. I mean, the labor movement in Canada and the United States, it's largely comprised of people who never get their hands dirty, and like the movement itself, and everybody else is forced into it to support it because there's not a lot of right to work legislation yet in North America.
Oh, no, you're right. These are champagne socialists. And, you know, a couple months ago, Sheila, Ted Cruz was onto this trend, one of two. One's good, one's bad in my view. The good one is blue collar workers, the lunch bucket brigade, moving from Democrat to Republican because they see the jobs coming back. They see fracking, leading to energy independence. And oddly enough, Mr. Cruz said the other trend is typically white, college education, suburban mothers going from Republican to Democrat. And one of the driving reasons is we don't like Donald Trump's nasty quote, end quote, tweets. And I'm thinking, you don't like nasty tweets? If these Democrats get in, who have been absolutely silent, see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil, on the riots, the brutal riots raging across America, especially in the summer, those inner city riots, Sheila, are coming to the suburbs, with this party. So you got to have a talk with yourself and say, if Donald Trump's putting out nasty tweets or off-color tweets, is that really as bad as a mob of Antifa outside my suburban house throwing a Molotov cocktail through my window? That's what awaits you.
These people just pretending like they don't watch the most vulgar TV shows.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they're clutching pearls because Trump said something that's off color.
Yeah.
Like, do they exist in the same culture as the rest of us? I mean, people are wearing vagina costumes and wearing those pink hats. I mean, so let's pretend, we're supposed to pretend that Trump might be a little too vulgar for these people. Give me a break.
Yeah.
Give me a break. What a load of garbage. People listening to, music about murders and gangsters and
Good point.
And watching horribly violent TV shows. They're worried about the president's off-color tweets. Honestly, it's all fake. It's all fake. It's fake outrage.
I hope you're right.
Yeah. Proud Boys Calgary gives us $6.99. Democrats trying to steal Pennsylvania. Looking forward to stream tonight. Join the world's greatest frat after the party. Proud Boys Calgary or ProudBoysCanada.com. Getting AJ level drunk. Lisa Proust gives us $2. Mr. Trump $2.90. Okay, let's write her down. Pink Phoenix Nails gives us $2. Trump with $2.83. All righty.
Okay.
Jose Sanzana gives us $20.99. It's going to be a red tsunami that will wash out the globalization of the world. Fraser McBurney gives us $10. Has anyone read the instruction sheet that comes with the saliva test? Have not. Are they testing for COVID or are they collecting your DNA? Don't ever use a saliva test. You're giving them your DNA. Why? I haven't, Fraser. I'm sorry. I will look into that for you, though. And Crazy gives us $2. Biden will win president of long-term care. Yeah. What was it? I know. Yeah, he could be the president of the condo board of Del Boca Vistas. That's what he should do with the rest of his life. I think that's where Jerry Seinfeld's parents lived on the show. Utah Bursey gives us $6.99. Trump will win, no doubt. Sneaky Beaver, Biden policies equal Trudeau policies. It's all about pushing a green relaunch, the end game is, and pushing communism through all North America. Yep. I personally want 4 more years of George. Arlene Williamson gives us $20. Not liking Donald Trump isn't a reason not to vote for him. Yeah, I'm not voting for a friend. This isn't high school. Look what he's done for the U.S. economy and the spirit of their nation. I wish Canada had such a strong, intelligent spirit in politics. Trump to win. I can't even get my head around the stamina of that man. Like, he had coronavirus 2 weeks ago, and he is just giving her. He's tweeting all night. He's working all day. He's rallies, and he doesn't look tired. He's dancing on the stage. His dancing brings me so much joy, by the way.
Isn't it fantastic?
I love it. And you can tell it's like a distance runner where they don't use a lot of impact when they're moving. You can tell he's preserving his energy and protecting his joints because he doesn't like to lift his legs up to dance. He's smart. He's smart. It's very efficient. I appreciate that.
Oh, by the way, Sheila, I just want to, say something about Proud Boy's comment about getting drunk tonight in, hopefully as a celebratory drunk as opposed to getting drunk to wash away your sorrows. I know you're a big fan of the beer and the whiskey, once you're off air, of course, and you don't have to drive anywhere. Is that on your agenda? And I want to reach out to all our audience because my preferred Scotch, it is a thing of beauty. It's called Black Bull. Of course, the LCBO, the Liquor Corruption Bureaucracy of Ontario, has delisted it. So I'm down to my last few bottles. If anyone knows a province or a state where Black Bull Scotch is sold, will you please tell me? Because I have to do a mercy run. But anyway, Sheila, my first question, is that on your agenda tonight?
Yeah, I'm going to have to take a few pulls off the old emergency bottle of Fireball that I keep in the office. I keep it in the office here. Any more than a couple of pulls and I turn into the creature on the Fireball bottle, that like fire-breathing thing with the claws.
Oh, so please make a video, please.
2 or 3 rips off that thing is all I need. Any more than that, we're just asking for big problem. Either way, to get rid of the anxiety of it all, I probably am going to need a hit or two off that thing. Okay, let's keep going. War Machine 98 gives us $10. Would you think it's important in these times to talk about the Green Reset, Agenda 21, and the Great Reset, Agenda 21, and the Dark Winter? I've had people on my show who've talked about Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030. The Great Reset, I know that's sort of floating around right now. I suppose it's something that could be discussed after the election. Right now, the election's sucking up all the oxygen in the room. Let's keep going. Chris Lynch gives us $5. Forgot to mention Menzies come to Alberta. Yes. Lakeland area more specifically. You were in the Lakeland area. You were in St. Paul for 2 years, right?
St. Paul, Alberta, which actually made Time magazine in 1967 for building the first UFO landing pad at taxpayer dollars, of course, folks. It was one of these centennial projects. Not so proud of that. But yeah, that's where I ended up for a couple of years and got to know Albertans. And I remember getting a whopper of a speeding ticket, Sheila. And I was only working for, I won't say how much, but not a lot. So I had to go into community service to pay off the ticket. So for 3 days, I was on the back of a garbage truck hauling trash, right? So there's one of my less memorable memories of Alberta, but I'm not going to hold the judge to that to make me not like Alberta. Yeah, I'd love to come out again.
Oh, see, we've got the UFO landing pad in St. Paul, and then we've got the town of Vulcan, where it's just like one fun Star Trek-y thing after another. And Kian's from Vulcan, by the way, but he's an Earthling.
Really?
Yes.
He's a very, he could pass as a Vulcan. He's a very logical, kid. He keeps his emotions reined in, and he doesn't have pointy ears, though, to the best of my knowledge.
No. Sorry, Chris, I didn't finish your comment. You said, we love you here, Trump 2020, Alberta independence. Leard Kintyre gives us $2. Trump 305. I like your confidence, Leard. Electoral College votes. The Great Douchebag gives us $5. No super chat. It was fun saying that name. Therese Pollard gives us $5. Trump will win it all. Ask Keenan, a Q follower. Sorry, I don't think Kian is a Q follower. Great Douchebag, $5. Justin Trudeau adds a brick to his rock collection. George Soros listens to rock without the roll. Great Douchebag. I think you're a regular viewer, but just under a different name. Lady Gaga vacuums the carpets of hell with the dirt devil. Joe Biden joins the search party to find a celebration. News Now Canada Independent Media, $5. I am Donald, and I spent... Donald Smith! Don Smith! I'm Donald, and I spent 39 days in jail because of Jessica Yaniv. Thanks, Sheila, for interviewing Carrie Simpson. Yes. Donald is one of Jessica Yeneve's victims.
AKA Jonathan Yaniv, AKA Jessica Simpson. And I only bring this up, this, monster, his latest, and I am going to use the male pronoun, because, well, his mother uses it too.
Yeah.
His latest crusade, if you will, Sheila, is he's suing a beauty pageant in Ontario in real court, not human rights kangaroo court, because this beauty pageant won't let him compete. By the way, the beauty pageant says they're not anti-trans as long as you've had the whole meal deal in terms of the gender reassignment. I don't want to get too vulgar with what has to be done, but Jonathan Yaniv is just a fat man wearing a dress and pretending to be female and not acting very ladylike, given the way he likes to throw his fists around and swing his steel cane. But this is the latest carnage of this guy. And again, Sheila, my questions are, I don't know what his end game is. One of our lawyers came up with a brilliant idea, and it could be true, but I don't think it is. But if it is, well played. Are we watching sort of a wannabe Borat? That this is all part of some documentary, like Sacha Baron Cohen going into a character and being outrageous, and then it's all going to become a documentary later on? Because that's as good as I've got. These cases he goes after are no-hopers. Even with the BC Human Rights Tribunal, they awarded 3 of his victims $2,000 each in costs, which is unheard of. And secondly, I don't know where the money's coming from. I don't know how this duo, Mama Yaniv and Johnny Yaniv, make a living. And thirdly, maybe there's an element of just, garden variety mental illness here, Sheila. Yet, because he plays the trans card, we have to accommodate this madness. That's the biggest disgrace of all.
Yeah, I don't know if it's garden variety mental illness. It's the whole greenhouse. But to sue a beauty pageant, it's right there in the name, like beauty pageant.
And by the way, Sheila, I want to say this. The beauty pageant should have allowed him to enter, because I can't even remember the beauty pageant, but if he's an entry, this beauty pageant is now a worldwide viral thing. Of course he's hideous. Of course he's the circus sideshow to the main 3-ring circus. But that's the point. Anyone can tune into any beauty pageant and see gorgeous young ladies in nightgowns and swimwear parade around. But when you see that circus sideshow freak in a bikini, oh man, that's what you want to tune in to see. That's truly a man bites dog story. So I think this beauty pageant, I think they misplayed it. They should have welcomed him in, and it would have been a viral sensation.
As a woman who wouldn't want to be in a confined space anywhere near Jonathan Yaniv, I wouldn't want him backstage near the dressing room areas.
But that's a good point too.
So maybe they were just looking out for the safety of the other participants.
Oh, they are. They are, but they could put them in a separate container, if you will, right?
The mop closet. Let's keep going, because we have so many super chats. We've talked about nothing else. Like, we haven't gotten to anything, and there's 4 minutes left in the show.
Unbelievable.
Yes. Well, the good news is we can get to some of these things tonight when we're on air. So hopefully everybody can come back around to that. The Sting guy gives us $3.99. I love that Bobby Orr endorsed Trump. Yeah, remember when Wayne Gretzky endorsed Stephen Harper? And it's funny because everybody's mad at Bobby Orr now. He should just stay out of politics. And it's like, well, I didn't hear you saying that when Colin Kaepernick was taking a knee and doing this whole Black Lives Matter thing. They're only offended when people in pop culture come out as conservative. It's frightening to the left.
It is amazing. Bobby Orr, Jack Nicklaus, and our good friend at the Toronto Sun, Joe Warmington, he had a column about Don Cherry endorsing Donald Trump too. So if Trump is good enough for Don Cherry, he's good enough for me, folks.
Christine Lewis gives us $3, and Justin has described the super chat here. Parrot character stretching his arm forward, raising his thumb up. Thanks, Justin. I know exactly what you meant. RD gives us $5 Australian. Since 2017, I've watched almost 3,500 YouTube for my own research into the culture war. As an Australian, I feel like I'm the last sane person alive. Well, the good news is that our friend and colleague, Avi Yamini, is telling the stories of other completely sane people in Australia right now. So I hope you no longer feel alone.
And please, folks, watch Avi's latest video. It is truly incredible. Talk about, Sheila, from a journalistic perspective, being in the right place at the right time to document horrific police overreach. It was completely reminiscent to me of the G20 meeting in Toronto a decade ago, where the police chief, Bill Blair, now our public safety minister, turned a blind eye on the Friday to the Black Bloc, which are basically Antifa types, actually overturning and setting police cruisers on fire. And it was stand down, stand down, stand down. And then on Saturday went all out kenneling, where police officers form a circle and it's like a fisherman with a net. That's what happened in Australia. And basically you're arresting honest citizens. I'll never forget the guy in Toronto 10 years ago. It was a World Cup year. He was walking to the pub to watch the Brazil game, and he ends up getting arrested as, I don't know, a domestic terrorist. That's what happened in Australia the other day, and Avi was able to chronicle it. What a disgrace.
Well, and they arrest so many people at once that it takes days to sort them all out.
Yeah.
So you have completely innocent bystanders in jail with, people who probably should be there.
With huge fines. Huge
fine. Yeah. Believe in Jesus gives us $10. David and Sheila, you are my favorite. Oh, thank you. I'm looking forward to watching the election results with Rebel. Again, I'm looking forward to it, but I'm looking forward to it being over, but I'm also not looking forward to it at all. Jake Reeser gives us $20. Thank you very much. Worse, I think we're talking about Lady Gaga here. Worse, not hunting gear, OCPs. More of a jab towards vets and veteran pride. Love the channel. Good to see vids removing the impression that Canada is nothing but liberals. Yeah, I never thought of it that way. I just felt like she was making fun of people like me because, like, I would never waste a beer like that. Like, who crushes a super can and throws it on the ground?
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, but he chugs it. He squeezes it and chugs it. She just took like a sip, and you can tell she's like obviously not into beer and just threw it on the ground.
Well, she's got her figure to worry about, I guess.
I have comments about that, and I feel like the pandemic was a little bit rough on her in that regard. But I just whatever. No, I'm just making an observation. Anywho, I didn't realize that maybe there was a veterans angle there, but yeah, I see it now.
That makes it worse.
Yes, much worse. News Now Canada Independent Media gives us $10. I'm the person, Donald, who spent 39 days in jail because of Jessica Yaniv. I wanted to say thanks to Sheila and Rebel Media for covering the Jonathan Yaniv show. David covered it to great personal detriment. Good job for interviewing Carrie Simpson. Yeah, Donald, you're very lucky to have someone like Carrie on your side. Yeah. Because she told me she didn't really know you, but she just knew that you were in jail because of Jessica, Jonathan, Simpson, Yaniv, and she knew that you needed help. And so she really stepped up and did that on her own time. Yeah. Aunt Crazy gives us $5. When Trump wins, I'll enjoy watching The View for the first time tomorrow. I should have made a nail appointment for tomorrow afternoon because those broads on the social are going to be real worked up.
That's right. That's why you stopped going to a nail salon, didn't you, Sheila? Because it was always The View. But you'll go that day.
I will. It was always The View or the social. And then I just stopped going. I'm like, you know what? My nails can be ratchet. I don't care. I'm not going there and suffering anymore. Fraser McBurdy gives us $5. 11 p.m. Trump. 369. Oh, you're confident, Fraser.
That has to be the highest number yet, eh?
Wait, he's got a whole thing here. Wow. After the election, Trump is at 305. Senators, 53. House seats, Republicans take the House, Trump wins again. Oh, Frazee, you've put a lot of thought into this. Tracy S. gives us $5. I'm a Michigander. I'm glad that you said that because I was going to say Michigander. My sister severed ties with me for supporting Trump. That's terrible. The tolerant left, hey? Just getting rid of their family because they support Trump. I don't have any lefties in my family. I don't think. Not anyone that would tell me anyway. But if I did, I just wouldn't talk politics with them. It'd just be, there's a lot of other stuff to talk about. I just wouldn't throw family out because of that. There's a lot of reasons to cut family out of your life. Politics isn't it.
But Sheila, there are many of these stories and it's sad. It really is.
Antonio Cardenas gives us $5. Love you, Sheila. Very few Biden signs here in Western Michigan.
Yeah.
I'm very glad to hear that. Thank you for super chatting us back, Antonio. Sandro Markert gives us $10 Canadian. When it was an emoji, pair character bowing down saying thank you. No, thank you. Mark Cougar gives us $20. Thank you very much. Did you see the article in the Ottawa Citizen about the Army and Trudeau admitting to using the PR department of the Army as propaganda tool for the government to influence the public? Posted yesterday. I did see that.
Yeah.
And might I suggest that you go to, I think it was propagandaplan.com. Justin, correct me if I'm wrong, because I remember saying it wrong in the video and I had to reshoot it. But we did a story because we got our hands on documents that showed that they had a similar plan to use the military to monitor citizens a few months ago with regard to, propaganda plan. A 15-page propaganda plan to demonize Trudeau's pandemic critics and strengthen the Liberal Party narrative. You can see the full documents there. Instead of using the military against foreign enemies to defend our country, they were going to use the military against Canadian citizens, to monitor them, to monitor their Twitter accounts. And at the last minute, General Vance stepped in and said, oh, no, it's not what we're here to do. But had it not been for him, the Liberals would have gone forward with this. Because do you think Harjit Sajjan would have stopped this as the Minister of National Defense? Absolutely not. This is probably his idea.
Now, Sheila, that Citizen article, is that something new, a different plan, or is it just the Citizen sleep at the switch and ripping us off several weeks after we publicized this?
It's 6 of one, half a dozen of another. There's a little bit of old information in there and then some new stuff in there because they had access to some documents that were dated from October, and mine were from a little bit before then. So they might have some new stuff in there. Now and then the mainstream media does something that looks a little bit like journalism. This might be one of those times. Mike Corbin gives us $10. I really want to see Canada's U.S. election experts and Trump-hating elites explain why Trump won a second term bigly. I think I watched a clip from CBC the other day from 2016 where David Frum tried to calm down his other panelists who were like using the word Hitler and stuff to describe Trump from 2016. And when David Frum is the like moderate voice of reason, when you're talking about Trump, you know things were really bad. And I think they were. Sheila,
I think that comment is fantastic, and it's something I haven't given a lot of thought to. If it is indeed a Trump landslide, or if Trump does, he's back in the White House again, regardless of the number of electoral votes, when it comes to unpacking this by the media mob as to what went wrong, what are they going to blame it on? And I think we're going to see the analysts and the pollsters and the members of the mainstream media embrace the basket full of deplorables. That obviously the U.S. is full of too many dumb numbskulls that buy into this. Because how else are they going to spin it? the media, with few exceptions such as Fox News, are in the bag for Biden.
Yeah.
I don't believe most of the polling. I really don't, because I see it being an echo of what happened in 2016, where Hillary Clinton was a lock. So much so that I think she bought $2 million of fireworks to set off. Wonder if she ever got her money back on that. So who do you blame, right? They're not going to blame Biden and Harris. So they're going to blame the American people. I don't see any other way. That you're just a bunch of stupid idiots that don't know better. You watch.
Oh, and if you think they aren't calling the American people racist, xenophobe, extremists now, oh boy, just wait till they're wrong twice.
And of course, white supremacists, even if we see huge upticks in black voters going Republican, Hispanic,
Orthodox
Asian,
Jewish.
Yep. They'll play that card.
Oh, for sure. Kevin Tennant gives us $2, says, David, Black Bull whiskey available in Airdrie, Alberta. David, I'm going to check the liquor store for you this afternoon because when I finish my work, I got to run out and get some take and bake pizzas for the kids because I'll be on air, I guess, all night into the wee hours of the morning. So they got to eat something.
That is fantastic. It's in Alberta. I will buy Sheila, if your local liquor store has it, I'll buy every bottle. I'll compensate you for it.
I'll check for it when I'm out there this afternoon buying Baby Duck and Strawberry Angel because I don't like the expensive champagne.
And thank you so much, viewer, for letting me know that somewhere in our great Dominion, Black Bull is still on the shelves.
Oh, it would be in the Freedom Province. Sativa and Me gives us $5. 1,000 likes, please. Oh, we're there. Keep going, guys. Go over and like the stream. Give it a thumbs up so that we can get around YouTube's algorithm that keeps people from finding us. The more likes we get, the more likely we are to appear.
Can you believe this?
I know. The Great Douchebag gives us $5. Joe Biden hopes that E.T. brought an extraterrestrial. Joe Biden is a team player in the one-man army. Mark Cougar gives us $5. Sorry, Trump, $2.93.
Okay.
Well,
I'll take it.
Ashley Cohen gives us $4.99. I love Rebel News from Seattle. Oh, thank you. I don't think of Rebel News as finding fans in Seattle, but I'm glad to know that
and you know what?
You're there. You're alive.
Versus Portland is a great example of once they were going to allow the National Guard, the Army, to go in and put down that anarchist, area. Seattle that was blocked off by the Antifa and their types. They just gave up, Sheila. They walked away, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Portland, and by the way, did you see that tweet from the mayor of Portland? Already worried about tonight being, I can't remember the tweet per se, but it was signaling his worry about white supremacists taking to the streets. I swear to God, call it up, folks. You'll see what he tweeted. I mean, and here's this occupation going on in his city by anything but, right? It's just absolutely disgraceful how, empty is full and night is day in that particular city.
Yeah, a bunch of white supremacists are just going to converge on Portland, known hotbed of white supremacy. Unless we're talking about how Antifa is nothing but a bunch of upper middle class white liberal kids who think that they know what's best for North America's minorities and that everybody should work for the government, then maybe we are talking about white supremacists. Mr. Cheeky Monkey 1996 gives us £5. I called a Biden supporter a ball bag. Seriously, though, rooting for Trump. Chris Lynch gives us $2. 304. Plus the popular vote. Popular vote.
Wow.
What do you think is going to happen in California? You think there's more Trump supporters there than they're letting on? Maybe.
Lady Menzoid has a dear friend in California, and she says in her neighborhood, now granted it's very close to where the Ronald Reagan library is, but it is a proliferation of Trump signs. She sent a snap of a house with Trump paraphernalia. It was kind of like how you decorate your house for Halloween, Sheila, but instead of jack-o'-lanterns and ghosts and goblins, it was just Trump banners, it was like a shrine. And this is in Southern California. So Wow, I'm not saying California will flip, but if it did, wouldn't that be something, Sheila?
I heard that you did not have a very spooktacular Halloween, by the way. Lady Menzoid sent me a picture of you in your Skeletor mask, and your short. For some reason, you're wearing shorts, and you didn't have any kids, which is no fun at all.
0 kids. It was the saddest Halloween ever. We went walking Dexter, the Wonder Dog, around the block. We saw a couple that put out this unbelievable display. They put thousands of dollars into it, and we had a surreal moment. We were asking them, did you have any kids? And they said no. And we said, yeah, we didn't have any either. And I said, do you mind if I take 2 bags of those treats you got there? We got 2 boys at home. They said, oh, by all means, help yourself. And it just occurred to me, I went, here are adults decorating a house and other adults coming and getting treats out of costume. And it was surreal. It's supposed to be kids running to the door with costumes, trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
Saddest Halloween ever, Sheila.
Ours was pretty good. Like, I don't get a lot of kids here just because where I live, like, it's just kids who like, I'll get my niece and nephew kind of thing. But I still decorate as though I'm going to have the whole, like, all the kids from all the schools are going to show up in my house. But my girls were out. I took my girls out, and there was a lot. Like, a lot of people had huge, like, maybe it's Alberta. We when people say we can't do stuff, we like to do more of it. And I noticed that, like, the regular, like, Halloween-y people were extra Halloween-y and had extra treats out, like brown paper lunch bags just full of stuff stapled on the top. Beautiful. For the kids, prepackaged. So yeah, it was way to go, Alberta. You did good. Let's keep going because we're 15 minutes past the hour. Christian Mader gives us $10, no super chat. Thank you very much. Durify gives us $20. Getting tired of liberal hypocrisy. Conservatives here who say they think the U.S. First and Second Amendments are great ideas get accused of being unpatriotic pseudo-Americans, but former U.S. Democrat presidents can campaign for the liberals. Yeah, of course. Conservatives are going to see the value of a First and Second Amendment because we believe in freedom. We don't like the government to control our lives. We'd like to conserve freedom. So naturally, we're going to like those things. And yet they'll say, oh, if you don't like it, just move to Texas. Again, don't threaten me with a good time. I'd love to move to Texas, but I have to free Alberta first.
Texas would be like Disneyland for you, eh?
The idea that I could wear a sidearm to the grocery store does strange things to me. Connie Buffone gives us $20. Trump will win tonight. We need your help to get our freedoms back in Canada. I'm working on it. Bernard Hutchison gives us $2.79. Why did Smith get jail time because of that creep? Maybe Donald can answer in the live chat. But Jonathan and Eve made false reports to the police about Donald, and the police, instead of looking at the video evidence that Donald had and that Kerry had, they just picked up Donald and put him in jail. And luckily, Donald had somebody like Kerry to help him.
He's a compulsive liar. Back in August or July, Sheila, when I confronted him and his mom when they were in Toronto, remember he put in a 911 call that got a rapid response because he said, I was holding a handgun, pointing a handgun at his mother, and the only reason I wasn't charged with a prohibitive weapon was that I threw the handgun down a sewer. Well, folks, not only did the handgun not exist, obviously, the sewer doesn't exist at the Pantages Hotel. He is a filthy, compulsive liar, and he should have been charged with filing a false police report, but he never does, Sheila. He always...
Never.
He's a greased pig that slides out of that Teflon pan every single time. And it's political correctness, right? That's what it is.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Mr. Cheeky Monkey 1996 gives us £5. I have my victory smoke ready for when Trump wins. I should go get fireworks. Thank you for the reminder.
That's a good idea.
They could be victory fireworks or sorrow fireworks. But either way, we're lighting them off tonight. Will Trump win? I think so. By a landslide. I'd be shocked otherwise. Kane Enmark gives us $2. Trump win 354. Well,
That's the second highest total, right?
that's a lot. That's, you know what, Kane? I like your confidence. Eki gives us €5. 30% of people in Trump rallies are Democrats. Now, do you think that they're there because they are Democrats who would vote Trump, like the Reagan Democrats, or you think they're just there because Republican rallies are a lot of fun?
No, I heard that stat, Sheila, and because they were doing polling of people attending, and I really think these are Democrats that see this horrible socialist path that their party is going on, and they realize the future of the country, which is bigger than a party, is at stake. Because why else, if you hate Trump and this is the evil orange man, why would you want to go to one of his rallies and be with all of those Trump supporters? You know, so I think these are Democrats leaving the plantation and coming over to the Trump camp. I really do.
Yeah, these could be like Kennedy Democrats, back when the Democrats were kind of normal. But it is interesting that they would feel safe going to a Trump rally. I feel like conservatives would probably need security to attend a Democrat rally openly as a conservative.
If you wore your colors, 100%.
Yeah, they'd beat you up. They'd take your hat off.
Yep.
But, you know, if you were a Democrat at a Trump rally, welcome, come on in.
Yeah.
Let's change your heart and change your mind. Yeah. Pink Phoenix Nails gives us $5. I had to leave for a minute. Did you get my numbers? 283 for Trump. Yeah, we did. I got them down. Love Rebel News. See you tonight for the show. Yes, I'm looking forward to the show. Apparently, I'm just going to be on a live stream all day because I can't seem to manage to wrap this one up. Charlie Ward gives us £5. Have you both questioned the similarities between COVID-19 rules, regulations, and restrictions, such as wearing masks and lockdown, to Sharia law? I have not. Fraser McBurney. Sorry, David, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say on that note, it'll be posted maybe later today. I did attend a very depressing protest at the corner of Yonge and Bloor on Saturday, folks. It was mostly Muslim attendees, and it was essentially a pro-Sharia, anti-free speech rally based on the cartoons in France. They were asking Canadians to boycott France, and no condemnation of the acts of terrorism, and lots of people holding photographs of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. I swear to God, I'm not making this up. So boycott France. You know what I did, Sheila? I swung by the grocery store, bought an extra case of Perrier. We have to stand with France right now.
Yeah.
But there was about 500-600 people actually advocating for Sharia law in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, on the heels of people being massacred in Europe. What a disgrace. I've never felt so ashamed to see a sight like that happen in my hometown, Sheila.
And it's not just Toronto. I mean, London is absolutely insane. The day before they arrest Tommy Robinson for unauthorized gathering without a mask or whatever, they caught and released him because that's just a day in the life of Tommy Robinson in the authoritarian city-state of London. The day before, mobs of pro-Islamist, I guess, people were marching down the street on the way to the French consulate and doing their little BDS thing in front of the Louis Vuitton store. No masks, no social distancing, and definitely not being hassled by the police.
And as we saw in other protests in London, you see signage typically where it says, Islam is the answer, Europe is the cancer. So you right away get an idea of where their loyalties run. Yeah, so you know what, it's a good point. Wuhan virus protocol, very much kind of like the shut up, don't show a contrary opinion, don't break the rules that you get under Sharia law, you know, in Islamist republics. So yeah, there you go.
Fraser McBurney gives us $5. Our Halloween went great. Our hugs over masks had 14 kids at Front Park. Oh, that's good.
Beautiful.
Ashley Cohen gives us $9.99. There's a well-hidden nest of deplorables here in Seattle, but few and far flung. Looking forward to the sound of heads exploding tonight. if mine doesn't from all the cheating.
Heads exploding.
Oh, just be safe in Seattle. I hope the rioting that will ensue if Trump wins by Antifa and the Black Bloc types and all the other peaceful lefties, I hope it doesn't head towards your neighborhood.
Sheila, in major cities right across the U.S., plywood is going up right now, and that is expected. That is so sad to see. And that's another factor, Sheila. When it comes down to it, do you want a president who stands for law and order, or somebody who looks at carnage, Molotov cocktails, buildings being set aflame via arson, and calling it a mostly peaceful protest? That's what your choice is tonight, folks.
Yeah, those cities aren't boarding themselves up like there's a Category 5 hurricane headed towards them because they're worried about Republicans. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And so when I see the media and the experts opining that, Donald Trump's not going to accept the election results. Yeah. These lunatics on the other side have not accepted it for the last 4 years.
Exactly.
And they will not accept it tonight if Trump wins. They're going to riot. Yep. They are going to riot. It's not going to be Republicans. Republicans, if they lose, they're going to say, okay, well, we got to work hard. We got to, rejig the party. We've got to look at our election laws. We got to rethink how we do things. And examine where we went wrong. The Democrats aren't going to do any of that. If they lose, they're just going to riot. They're going to burn their own cities.
And the question is, Sheila, so why is that? And the reason is they've grown up in an education system where there's no such thing anymore as agree to disagree. It's punch a Nazi. What's the definition of a Nazi? Somebody bent on world conquest and genocide? No, somebody that disagrees with your ideology. This is their mindset that leads to this entitlement that they feel fully righteous throwing a Molotov cocktail at somebody's business because they didn't get their way. This is what the education system, I would say, because most of these people are young, has bred. And it is absolutely deplorable, Sheila. That is your basket of deplorables.
Well, yeah, when you're telling the punch Nazis crowd that everybody is a Nazi that doesn't think like you, you're just inciting violence against innocent people. Mike G gives us $5. You both work so hard. I don't know. David works pretty darn hard. It's crazy. Come in on Monday and it's like, well, this is what I'm working on today. And everybody says what they're working on today. And David's like, here's the 2 weeks worth of work that I did over the weekend on 2 days.
No,
and we're all like, no, but we're all like, and I'm not saying this to be rude, David, but you are like the oldest of the journalists and you're out working like the young buck.
I'm not saying this to be rude.
I'm not. I'm just laying it out there. You're the oldest one of us. It's just how it is.
Well,
the
geez,
numbers don't lie.
So much for keep them guessing with oil of Olay. Anyways, continue, my dear.
My kids call it oil of old lady. C182 OPR gives us $5. Sheila got an older sister. Nope. I'm the old crow in my family. Does she dream of shopping armed too? Nope. Sounds like my kind of woman. My mom is single. She's a widow, but she's more cantankerous than I am. You don't want anything to do with that. Durfi gives us $5. As an Ontarian, curious about hearing more about the proposed policies of this new blue party, trying to start up, hope to not be disappointed like with Ford. Stay tuned. I think we're going to hear more from them in the very near future. I know that we at Rebel News are following the developments with the Carahalios very closely. News Now Canada Independent Media gives us $5. Jessica Yaniv lied to the RCMP and made a fake email to get me 39 days in jail. It's true.
Yep.
There's video where Jonathan Yaniv threatens to run me over. That is also true.
I saw that.
I mean, this is atrocious. Jonathan Yaniv should be in jail for what he did to Donald Smith.
But more atrocious, Sheila, are those in a position of authority that are deciding not to enforce the rule of law because of political correctness, because this is a trans person. I don't even think it's a trans person, Sheila. I think this is somebody pretending to be trans.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care, because it doesn't matter if you're gay, straight, black, white, trans, cis, I think is the opposite. I don't know. I try not to follow along
but
with
Sheila,
made-up
sorry.
thing. But it's not supposed to matter.
Yeah.
It's the rule of law is supposed to be blind.
But it isn't.
So why does Jonathan Yaniv keep getting away with this stuff?
Yep.
Shame on everybody who allows it.
Right now, Lady Justice isn't wearing a blindfold. She's wearing X-ray glasses, Sheila, and that's why Jonathan Yaniv walks as he's trans, and that's why we can pick anything out. In Caledonia, why lawlessness continues there, two-tier justice and policing, and that isn't the way it should be.
Yeah. I think we're finally getting close to done, and we're almost a half an hour overtime.
Oh no!
I hope everybody at home is happy. We started like 2 minutes late, and you got an extra 28 minutes on the backside. The Babs 77 gives us $5. I'm seeing a lot of articles saying that the economy and Canadian dollar rising in a Democratic win. I don't think so. I think you're going to see the oil patch very scared. If there's a Democrat win.
That makes no sense.
What are we getting set up for? Yeah, I don't think so.
No.
Elisa Proust gives us $2. David and Sheila, your courage inspires me each day. Oh, thanks very much.
Thank you.
It's easy to be brave though when you work for Rebel News, because we know that we have viewers who are willing to help fund security guards for us and legal battles for us. And we have a boss and an entire company culture that stands behind us, each one of us, when we get into trouble. But all of that is only possible through the support of people like you at home, Lisa.
100%. Thank you, Lisa.
Charlie Ward gives us £5. Dave Rubin said it best in regards to why he removed himself from the left side of identity politics. Have you seen his interview with Sky News?
I have not.
I've seen his PragerU video about why he left the left, which was really informative, because I like how PragerU does their very informative style of their graphics, everything. I like that. And I think, good Lord, it is 11:29 my time, which means it's 1:30 almost in Toronto, and we are finally all caught up.
Oh, thank goodness, because I ordered a burrito from DoorDash about 2 hours ago, and I'm going to have to zap that puppy. I haven't had anything to eat all day, so enough about my misery. Listen, folks, thank you so much, Mr. Producer. Great job as always. Sheila, thank you so much again.
We're back here at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time, right?
That's right. You and Ezra Levent will be at the running the live stream for the election. And always thank you to the Super Chatters. And as far as everything else is concerned, see you back here at 6:30. Stay sane.